I mean, there's a freaking castle in the center of the Disney park. That isn't by accident. This idea that you're experiencing a bit of royalty, and that glamour. You know, you are a commoner being allowed on the castle grounds for a day. That existed in the 1700s, and that's still much of the charm of the Disney parks today.
And it is something wonderful just about being in that dream, or maybe being in a castle. Just being in that fantasy, wearing that beautiful dress. It is great.
Well, and and I should say, in that period, of the dawn of these pleasure gardens, we were already having fake castles and fake, follies and fantasies and, pagodas and chinoiserie, or, this Orientalism, these ideas of the exotica, which today, manifests itself as the Adventureland in the different Disney parks. Those ideas began then. I mean, even everything from fireworks shows, going on a balloon ride, which you can still do in Walt Disney World in Florida, is pay to go up in a hot air balloon. This was a chief attraction in the 1700s in these pleasure gardens. Maybe not 1600s. I don't know if they were hot air ballooning then, but later.
A bit later, I would say. But still, the same concept. I love it.
Yeah.
So do you think that for an institution like LACMA, I mean, they know what they're good at. They are good at exhibiting art.
Yes.
Various kinds of art, and
yes.
Still, but that's what they're good at. So how has the discussion been between the institution and Dapper Day? So what is it that you can add that they cannot do themselves?
Well,
because they can open up their galleries, they can put together a really good show.
Yes, I think.
I mean, absolutely.
I mean, as with most of the institutions that we work with, their goal is very much just expanding their audience, letting more people know about what it is they have and what they do. And I think, with our events, it lets people, like, we get to sort of push them over that we give them that final nudge where they've been thinking, I'd like to go to see the LA Phil, or I'd like to go to LACMA, but, I don't really have a reason to. Someday I'll do it. And so when we come along and say, hey, on this date, we're all going to dress up, we're going to go there, we're going to do this thing, and we're going to have fun, they say, okay, that's it, I'm going to go on this day. And so that's one of the things I think we get to provide. I really enjoy being able to share these experiences with my following, which is the Dapper Day following is incredibly diverse. But the one thing we know that they enjoy, that they have in common, is they love doing things together. They love getting dressed up, and they're really interested in, having new experiences and going someplace and, trying something new. So I like being able to direct their attention to different areas and say, hey, let's, go do this thing over here, or do you know about that? Let's go experience this. And then, of course, in the act of doing that, we have everyone else who's there who didn't know what was going to be going on, and they're like, why is everyone dressed up? What is this all about? And then they find out about, our organization, and hopefully join us next time.
So, do you have, during a Dapper Day outing, would you have, you've already mentioned this, everyone should gather around the carousel at 2:00. Would you have, is there always that kind of event?
Not exactly. And in fact, with our Disney park outings, we have pulled that back now because so many people come. I mean, over 10,000 people come to those park outings. So,
too many.
Yeah, so we can't tell people, hey, everyone, go meet at the carousel at this time, because it would shut down that entire part of the park. So now we're a little more general with our Disney park outings, and we'll say, we suggest visiting the Mark Twain in the afternoon and the carousel in the evening, but we won't give a specific time. With our events like our LACMA outing...
how many people do you expect to come?
Oh, gosh. Well, we'll see, I know we're over 2,000 RSVPs right now for this event coming up in just a few days. And last week, in our meeting with LACMA, they said, you know what, stop promoting it. We're over capacity.
That's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
Come on, that's great.
So we'll see where we land. I mean, they, out of concern for the art in the spaces, they have a capacity that they want to hold at for those galleries.
What part of the museum is it?
Yes, I should talk about that. So what we're doing is the museum is open all day long during its regular hours. You can access all parts of the campus. Then what we're doing for this special event, for this particular year with LACMA, is the Amundsen building, which houses part of their permanent collection, which covers the modern collection as well as the European art galleries. That will be closing in February. The European galleries will be closing in February permanently, and then this summer the modern galleries will be closing. And with the idea that then later this year, sometime very soon, that building as well as some of the other original buildings will be demolished to make way for the new campus. So we really wanted to do something to celebrate those buildings and those galleries before they went away. So this event is an after-hours event. The museum closes at 7. Then at 7, the Amundsen building will remain open for our Dapper Day LACMA event until 10 p.m. And so it will be just those floors within the Amundsen building. The top floors have already closed, so we missed that. But this will be everyone's last chance to see the European galleries and the modern galleries and those collections in those spaces, until the new building is built.
I'm so much looking forward to this.
I
really am.
It's so I'm so glad we finally got to do this. The previous 3 events that we had done with LACMA all focused on a specific temporary exhibit, and I had really been wanting to celebrate their permanent collections. Because I don't think people realize how expansive they were and how amazing they really were. And so I really, made that a big request where I said, can we please finally celebrate the permanent collection, especially considering that those galleries and those buildings will be going away. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I mean, it's not a for sure thing. I shouldn't say that. There's still a few little details that have to happen, but I would say it's like 99% sure.
We've read about it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So it's kind of out there.
Yeah. And I mean, LACMA's been working towards this for some years now, so
it's not, but it's not a secret.
Yeah. Apparently, though, if I'm remembering the details right, it's not official until the final environmental impact report is made, which I believe happens later this spring. And once that is made and everyone gets the final okay, then it's for real and it's happening.
Yeah.
So, and but,
but we're almost there.
Yes.
And
I'm so conflicted about it. I mean, I love these old buildings, but I do understand that there's all sorts of logistical reasons why they need an enormous amount of maintenance and why a new building really needs to come. But I'm just happy we can have a moment where we can celebrate them. It's like, oh gosh, what's that Japanese woman doing the decluttering show now that everyone's watching? I just watched an episode. I can't remember her name, but she, she does this thing where before you dispose of anything, you just take a moment and you touch it and you thank it and then you let it go. And so I wanted to have that with the Amundsen building because it's massive, and I don't think people ever really look at it or look up at it. And so it's a William Pereira building, and I just wanted people to have that moment where they can say, okay, I'm going to look at it, I'm acknowledging it, and I am letting you go, and we will welcome the next structure.
I think it will be beautiful, because we're not going to have drinks, are we, in the actual galleries?
We're not going to have what?
Drinks.
Like cocktails?
Yeah.
No, you won't be able to wander
everything
with
is
those.
just everything is still the same.
Yeah.
Same sort of security rules in place.
Yeah, we do have areas where we're going to have a DJ, we're having
Yeah,
dancing,
of course. Yeah, sure.
we're having
but
cocktails.
The actual galleries.
But yeah, you won't be able to bring cocktails into gallery spaces. Exactly.
I went to the first ever late at Tate.
The late at Loctate?
No, sorry about that. Too many places. Late at Tate. So
Oh,
it was
got it.
Tate,
Yes,
Tate
okay.
Britain had
Uh-huh.
that. Later on became a real big thing, but I went to their first events and they really didn't have all the security in place yet.
Oops.
So you would sort of have someone leaning against a wall with a beer,
Oh no.
and like, well, that will not happen the next time. It was
Yeah.
because it was just
No.
a bit too open
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of opening up, especially the museums for after hours.
Yes.
And for other people. Because I
Yes.
think still that going to the museum, you expect to learn something, or
Yeah.
it's a sort of an experience, like going to National History Museum. But just going around looking at cultural history, looking at paintings,
Yes.
still for a lot of people, that's very weird.
Yeah, and what
Yeah, like this is an interior from 1760. I don't know how to relate to this.
yeah. Well, we've requested that if possible, they keep some docents working late that night, so that
That's probably
they're,
very good. Yeah.
they're at least around and
Yeah.
will be on hand to be talking about different pieces and putting pieces in context. I know, people can always be a bit intimidated about work in that way, but there's really no reason to be. I mean, most people don't know anything about this work, so cheers
Just
to you if you
yeah,
have
and
the
also
chutzpah
just-
to say, tell me about this,
And also just enjoy it.
Absolutely. I mean, they're, if nothing else, many of the pieces are very beautiful, but I love how, an encyclopedic collection like what LACMA has really connects us to our past, our cultural history, and not just one culture, but a very broad range of cultures. And I mean, I just think it's such a joy being able to experience, just wandering and having access to these works. I mean, that's what I've loved so much about LACMA over the years since I've lived here in LA, is I would frequently go on Friday or Saturday nights, and oftentimes I would be one of the only people wandering one of the floors, and I could have it all to myself. And it's just so special being able to have that time alone with these pieces. I hope people really understand that and feel that and embrace that.
I mean, I think in many ways that museums are libraries.
Are what?
Are like libraries.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's the
Yes.
same. This is a collective knowledge, history. Everyone should feel invited to come in and have a look.
Yes. I actually wish museums had longer captions next to most of the pieces. I find myself often looking up more info about works, and I don't know, maybe people find that intimidating, but I think knowledge is power. I like knowing more.
Yeah, and I think this is actually something I've been a bit bothered about lately, because I think some institutions are a bit too hardcore at presenting work, like this is what you see in the picture and this is how it's positioned in the history of art.
Yes.
And so on. And that is actually not interesting, because what you can do with the work on an academic level is not necessarily what's interesting for the person who's having a look at it. So you have to be careful not to put yourself on very, very high horses trying to tell the masses what they are looking at.
Yes.
Because that's just a bit pretentious and a bit silly.
Yes, it definitely is.
I mean, there's a very fine line, but just handling out the information, being open about when and how and during the circumstances and so on. But I can be very, I don't know, because I think it's a bit like, you know what? There's so many facets to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways to see work, so many avenues into something. But you're right. Certain types of information is really, really important.
Yeah, and I mean,